For all that is alive, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Good morning. I'm Grace Preuss, a member of the worship committee, and I will be your worship associate today. Other members of the worship committee you will hear from include Alec Peck, who will be singing our hymns and also giving the service today. We welcome you to join us this morning with an open mind and an open heart, and with muted electronic devices, please. We welcome all of you to our service, especially those of you who are searching for a spiritual home. Many of us were once too seeking for something larger than ourselves to which we could belong, a sense of rootedness to hold us as we create meaning together. We do that well here, though not perfectly. In this congregation, we strive not for perfection, but for authenticity and connection. Whether it's your first time in worship with us or your 100th time, we hope that you'll find questions here that stretch you, people to befriend you, and liberal religious values that challenge you to join us in loving boldly, growing spiritually, and actively living our principles. And now I invite you to sit back and take a slow, deep breath as we move into the worship hour. For our call to worship, you are welcome to read with me the mission statement of our church. Our mission is to foster a diverse religious community that celebrates life, affirms the individual, encourages spiritual growth and open thought, and works to advance social justice and environmental sustainability. Our speaker today is a fellow UUCR member, Alec Peck. Alec has been a practicing UU for 23 years, raised in a UU church, chosen by his father, raised Quaker, and his mother, raised Jewish, though both humanist in praxis. Alec has studied natural science at Creighton University, a Jesuit institution, and is now completing his PhD at UC Riverside, while serving as chair of the worship committee here at UUCR. Why are we here at church? UUs all believe in different gods, and sometimes no gods at all. UUs aren't required to do certain rituals or practices, except the ones which speak to their spirit. UUs demand we take personal and communal responsibility for spiritual growth, not look to a church authority for our salvation. So, what exactly do UUs do at church? We have two lightings of sacred flames. The first is the Occupied Indigenous Peoples Remembrance Candle. The second is the lighting of our own chalice, the symbol of our faith. We walk upon the traditional territories of diverse and sovereign peoples, the original people of this land, who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. This spot we occupy was first the sacred space of several groups of indigenous peoples, including the Cahuilla, the Cupeño, and the Serrano. We, the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside, light this sacred flame as the stewards of this sacred and holy place. We are blessed with a space and opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to be part of a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Let these thoughts carry us forth as we journey and worship together. Today's reading of the chalice lighting is reading 448 in Singing the Living Tradition by Christine Robinson. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sing our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life that we share together. Adam, do we have any visitors with us today?
I don't know. Yeah. Well, they would like to do something.
Okay.
I wouldn't know where I was asking for.
Okay. So do we have anyone who is here with us today who would like to introduce themselves? If so, please indicate in the chat. Okay, if not, if there are any new visitors online, if you wish to get added to the mailing list, please email the church office at admin@uuchurchofriverside.org. Now we have a few announcements that we would like to share. During the service, we will mention several websites, email addresses, and phone numbers. At the end of the service, we will leave up a slide with all of this information, and it is available also on our website. COVID update. We all need to do our part to protect one another in 2022. We can do this by practicing known basic preventative measures that we can take for ourselves and for our families. Although no vaccine is 100% effective, vaccines and booster shots are proving to be the best defense we have against infectious diseases. Every home in the US is now eligible to order 4 free at-home COVID-19 tests. Orders will usually ship in 7 to 12 days. Order them at https://www.covidtest.gov. You can also make an appointment at vaccine.ca.gov, or for more information and more options of vaccine locations, please go to covid19.ca.gov. Let's all take personal responsibility to protect ourselves and others, because we are all in this together. Vax it and mask it. All in-person church events have been canceled due to the recent surge in coronavirus infections until further notice. Our hymn now is Blue Boat Home.
Down below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, and the great winds urging me on. Read the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port I have known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my new boat home.
Sharing our treasure. This portion of our service is to support our beloved historical church. This can be accomplished in several ways. You may send your checks to the church address, which is shown here. You may also contribute by PayPal using the QR code, which is on the church website, as well as the newsletter. Stater Brothers Market gives our church a rebate on Stater grocery cards, which can be obtained through the church office. You get the full value, and the church also receives a percentage. Amazon cards are also available. Please donate as the Spirit moves you by whatever method works best for you. We thank you for your generosity. And to those who give of their time and their talent, thank you for your generous care and attention. Our next hymn is From You I Receive. Please sit back and enjoy.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, from this we live.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Our meditation today is by Maya Angelou. I want to thank you, Lord, for life and all that's in it. Thank you for the day and for the hour and for the minute. I know many are gone. I'm still living on. I want to thank you. Now let us pause for a moment of silence. Now I would like to introduce Alec Peck, speaking to us on why are we here at church.
Oh, sorry. I'm not sure how much I was muted there for. Thank you, Grace. Give me just 1 second while I pull up my script here. Great, so thank you. And as Grace said, my name is Alec, and as many of you know, I've been helping with the worship committee recently to plan the upcoming services. And for me, discussing the ideas for the upcoming services is one of the more exciting parts of the meetings. And it often gets me thinking about the kind of messages that I like to hear, about the most emotionally resonant sermons which have touched me, and about what I wish everyone could hear, and also about how difficult it really is to describe what a UU service is like. Especially, I've been wondering, why do I like going to church? Basically, I'd just like to share some of my thoughts from over the last few weeks about UUism and the UU message. I think this is going to be a bit of a shorter sermon, and so I'd like to leave some extra time for us to discuss our thoughts and our personal experiences, since, as I'll allude to later, I think that's really at the core of UUism. I've also been reflecting on my conversations with non-UUs, including the occasional visitor who show up at UU churches with very different expectations about what church is like and what it is that we're all about. Religion is a conventionally taboo subject, which you will probably not be surprised to hear is one which I like to bring up casually. I think UUism is actually a big reason why I'm more open about having personal conversations about religion, because I already love and respect my friends' path to God, and I experience no anxiety about hearing their spiritual truth, an anxiety that I see in my friends because they expect that my religion, perhaps like theirs, is in the business of gatekeeping goodness and salvation. Having a lot of scientific and analytical friends, I find that many of them are naturally curious about the inner workings of a religion, which allows me to be comfortable using spiritually charged language like path to God or spiritual truth, and yet I clearly don't put a lot of stock into the Christian capital G God or into the institution of the church. However, most Americans are used to interacting with religion through church, and so often my conversations with them turn to Sunday morning, going briefly something like this. What do you do? What do you pray to on Sunday? Well, I guess each of you believes something different, so each person prays their own way. Well, how can you pray together when you don't have something to all believe in? Well, in a way, it's the principles which unite us. They don't prescribe a theology for us, though. So if you don't prescribe any specific beliefs and you don't pray to a God, what do you even do at church? Well, we don't praise a God or damn non-believers to hell. We explore the principles and our beliefs together, and we call that our worship service. And the response is usually then, okay, but what is it you're worshiping then? And maybe this is a problem with semantics. Our weekly celebration of faith, our weekly desire to help each other and ourselves to become better people, it's no longer done through the lens of Christian worship. But in a way, this is actually kind of a good question. Since each UU's journey is unique, we each have a unique reason for being here. We celebrate the common journey of all humans, the search for how and why we, personally and collectively, are all here, the desire to make the changes for ourselves and for the world, which can make us happier and healthier. We need to love and to be loved, and to know that who we are and who we want to be is beautiful and wonderful. However, we don't do a lot of the things which Christian churchgoers would expect. As I said, we don't demand much orthodoxy or orthopraxy. We don't try to use God to demand moral behavior, and we don't have our own heaven which we police. However, these are not the only things which Christians go to a Christian church for. Christians go to church to be inspired to see the light of God and to find joy and goodness in all things, and to explore the beauty of the world through God, to experience being uplifted, being saved, to be freed from human burdens. And this is the kind of emphatic love for the whole universe and every little thing in it, which is something which is not totally absent from UU services, but it's certainly something which is much harder for us to capture. When I think about why I personally go to church, a few answers are immediately obvious. Essentially, I go to church to cry. I go to church to be emotionally overwhelmed by stories about awe and beauty, stories about pain and suffering. I go to empathize with every aspect of the human experience, to cry at the beautiful simplicity and astounding complexity of what it means to be alive and to be human. I want to be reminded of the transformative power of love and feel the circle of life and the rhythms of nature. Our sources allude to a world which is filled with wonder and joy and inspiration. This kind of wondrous appreciation for life and for the earth and our time on it can escape us when we spend so much of our time discussing the painful burdens of self-discipline and the ways in which our society is suffering. However, we talk about things because for many of us, just like many Christian churchgoers, we are really here for our community. We like to support each other and to be supported on our spiritual journeys. However, our spiritual enlightenment is our own responsibility, for we do not believe that the church itself, or even participation in it, is necessary to traverse one's spiritual journey. In our church, we worship through experience, not through sacrament. We believe in the power of congregations and in living tradition. All around, being a part of a UU church is about community and expression. We have all seen beautiful and horrible things and feel complex emotions which we want to be able to express in a way which is true and honest to ourselves. We have complicated thoughts on hard topics, which we not only want to share, but we also demand that we hear from other perspectives because we think that it's important to reflect seriously on those difficult topics and to challenge our own beliefs. And yet still, I think this question remains. Why do UUs need a church to do this? Or in particular, why do we perform this ritual of worship? What is it that a UU has to preach about in the first place? There is something which I've experienced in church and at church camp, which I just haven't really felt anywhere else. I have heard passionate, emphatic UU ministers on occasion, and part of me loves this extreme passion of bombastic Christian preachers. Because when they talk, it's certainly clear to me why they are preaching. They think that God is glorious, and they want you to see and feel that glory too. To worship is to celebrate, to give respect to the world and the forces which move us. And what is it that UU should celebrate? For what should we give solemn reverence? Our sources say that wonder and glory which can be found in everything are real and true, and that we are allowed to celebrate that in any way we want. Our principles are simple truths which speak to every aspect of life. There is spiritual insight to be found in every practice, for we all hold some part of the truth. There is much painful work which must be addressed, and worship should be a time to inspire us to explore and to expose us to these parts of humanity. I've said before that music is the most effective form of emotional communication. And this is why music and art are such an important aspect of the worship experience to me. Because what I long for is emotional inspiration, a message so great that you need to dance and shout it. Planning and taking action to make change in the world are surely important work which the church should support. But for me, worship is a time to reflect and remember why we believe in these principles. I want to be challenged, both in keeping me dedicated to truth and in finding the conviction to fully believe what I do believe and to act on it. I want to experience all of what it means to be human and the struggles of being human with justice, equity, and compassion. For in this lies the answer to spirituality. I want to see the beauty of how the world really works and show that beauty which I've seen to other people. My journey of spiritual exploration has largely been one of joy, the joy of unraveling and understanding myself, my neighbors, the soil below me, which instills in me the joy of being alive. And I want to hear about the pain and struggle of people who suffer from systems of injustice and face the pain of confronting those oppressions, because I know that their worth is inherent and that their story is also our story. The sad truth is that we have not yet achieved a world of peace, liberty, and justice for all. Not all people are accepted and encouraged to be their true self, and not everyone has respect for the earth and her people. Xenophobia, anti-intellectualism, white nationalism, misogyny have all been running rampant in this country. Right now, American fascists who would seek to subjugate, exploit, and abuse people with less power are ecstatic about the banning of abortion, hoping that they will be the first post-Roe generation, and they are passionately screaming at school board meetings about the banning of critical race theory, which it turns out is just history when you don't ignore the racial motivations of societies. Stoic intellectualism may be a great way to ultimately solve these problems, but we need to invoke the passion needed to bring these issues to the forefront. My time at church summer camp was absolutely some of the best memories of growing up in middle school and high school. Youth summer camp for the youth groups only actually had a single event each day, which was actually explicitly UU related. Even though most of the day was spent simply being in community with each other and the outdoors, that end of the day worship time ended up being a powerful emotional experience where we got to feel and give unconditional love and to embrace and defeat our inner pains. This was most impactful for my queer friends, many of whom did not have other communities who truly accepted them. I think the real central message of UUism is that you deserve to be loved and that all people deserve love and to be loved. I don't personally believe in a conventional God, but I do believe in a beautiful radiance, which we can only see if we are continuously reminding ourselves of the wonder all around us. The principles are elegant in how simple and yet fundamentally important they are. The principles are each a message so important that I think it's good for my soul to hear and embrace them each week. We need to look no further for motivation for spiritual growth and acting out justice, where the principles apply to every aspect of being human. Because I believe in the right of conscience, my personal message that I as a UU want to give to every person in my congregation is that I love you, that I think you're really great. And the way you experience the world is special and beautiful. I want to thank you for spending your Sunday mornings with me. And I would like to hear from each of you as well what church means for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alec. Our closing hymn today is We Laugh, We Cry, number 354, in Singing the Living Tradition.
We laugh, we cry, we live, we die. We dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. hands we can call our very own, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found our need to be together. We have our hearts to give, we have our thoughts to receive, and we believe that sharing is an answer. A child is born among us and we feel a special glow. We see time's endless journey as we watch the baby grow. We thrill to hear imagination freely running wild, but dedicate our minds and hearts to the spirit of this child, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found our time to be together. And with the grace of age, we share the wonder of youth, and we believe that growing is an answer. Our lives are full of wonder, and our time is very brief. The death of one among us fills us all with pain and grief. But as we live, so shall we die, and when our lives are done, the memories we shared with friends, they will linger on, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a place to be together. We have the right to grow, we have the gift to believe that peace within a living is an answer. We seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found our joy being together. And in our search for peace, maybe we'll finally see, even to question truly is an answer.
Today's benediction is Blessed is the Path by Eric Williams. Blessed is the path on which you travel. Blessed is the body that carries you upon it. Blessed is your heart that has heard the call. Blessed is your mind that discerns the way. Blessed is the gift that you will receive by going. Truly blessed is the gift that you will become on the journey. May you go forth in peace. Namaste, amen, and blessed be. Thank you, Alec, for sharing your valuable time and insights with us this morning. It is sincerely appreciated, and we look forward to seeing you again. We are going to have about a 10 to 15-minute discussion with Alec following the service. Please be aware that this will be included on the video that is posted.
Grace, I'm really interested mainly in hearing what other people have to say about what they like about church or the kind of messages that they think is the UU message.
Alec?
Hello?
Hi, okay, so I'm just still getting used to this whole Zoom thing, but yes, okay. So are we opening up the forum to anyone on the Zoom service who would like to share their impressions or observations?
Yeah, if it's possible for to allow people to individually unmute themselves.
Yes, Alec, Adam says yes, they can.
Great. And maybe we need to, perhaps we'll form a list of people in the order they want to speak. For now, people are just able to unmute and contribute their thoughts. I think that would be nice.
Okay. Okay, so,
I see Tinka has a comment.
Yes, I thank you, Alec. I agree with a lot of I mean, I have some of the similar reasons that you did. And you know, the last reading that we had about the path, I think that's what it is for me, is that I have a path, which is that aspirational path. You know, I mean, it's the values that you talked about, the, you know, the church helps me to keep that path, to keep me on that path, I guess I would say. That because of being human, because of life situations, it can be easy to stray from that path. You can let your frustrations, your anger, resentments, you know, all of these kinds of things, especially like you said at the very end with, you know, the people who are reveling in the fact of the direction that that our government seems to be going, and everything else. It can become so overwhelming that you lose sight of that, of your path, and that coming, you know, coming back each week and being reminded of what our principles are, being reminded of what the aspirational goal is, you know, reminding me about the inherent worth and dignity, you know, of each person, that helps keep me on the path. So I think that's probably one of the largest piece for me, in terms of why, you know, why do I come to church? Why do I keep attending? The fellowship is definitely there as a piece, but you know, I belong to a lot of different groups, a lot of different social groups, a lot of different social justice kinds of groups, and and I can get fellowship from a lot of different places. What I can't get except from church, like I said, is that kind of that North Star, that guiding light, that path, that, you know, all of the things to remind me that the path that I want to be on, which is in loving relations to myself, to the earth, you know, to the people that I meet. That's what keeps me on the path. Thank you.
Thank you, Tinka. And that's, yeah, what you said definitely resonates with me as well. Definitely a large part of what I was thinking about as I was writing this is, again, I was thinking a lot about sort of in relationship to sort of the Christian service, because as my bio said, I did spend a couple of years at a Jesuit institution, so I got to get much more familiar with their style of worship. And I was really thinking about, you know, what's that message that I want to hear every single week, because that, you know, that guiding light, that North Star, because, you know, there are things that are so important that or I was thinking, like, if I had to write a sermon every single week, how could I possibly come up with enough topics to talk about? And I sort of was thinking, you know, like for a Christian, every single week you can write a sermon about how great God is, because that's an important enough message that you can say that every week. And for us, I think we also have the equivalent of that same message. I think you know, we do have messages that are, the principles are so important that they deserve to be said every single week. And we get 7 of them. That's 7 weeks. You know, how could I possibly run out of material? So because I do think that each one of those messages is really, every single one of the principles is a message that's so important that you could spend an hour of each week just thinking about one of those, and that would not be overburdening on your spiritual growth. So I can, if anyone wants to also use the raise hand feature, then I can also call on you that way if your camera is off. And of course, if the chat, I think, is also open to everyone. So if anyone else would like to give their thoughts. Caleb, I see that you have your hand up.
Yeah, name's Caleb. First time coming here. I just sitting here on your porch watching the service. Really enjoyed the message and enjoyed feeling a little bit of connection. Can you hear me? I'm not sure if I'm okay. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I find the sacred in the connections between everything and everyone. And yeah, the emotion that you raised as being a key piece, that resonates for me. It's the emotionality, the passion, and the sort of the different experience that everyone has, and then being able to share that, connect it. It's beautiful. So I appreciated the message, appreciate the opportunity to connect, even online while sitting here.
Yeah, thank you, Caleb. And yeah, I forgot to mention, so slightly ironic then that we've gone fully virtual this week just in time for me to say, hey, why are we going to a church? But Grace, you have a comment you'd like to share?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Alec, thank you so much for sharing with us your experiences. I'm always interested in hearing from you because you have actually grown up in this church. And it's always encouraging to hear all the different phases and things that you've learned in your experience with this church. I think it says a lot that you're still here. I'd also like to extend an invitation to all the new people who are here on Zoom with us today. Thank you for joining us. We hope you continue to join us and share in all this fellowship that we are having here. We'd also like to hear your comments on how you feel if it's your first time or so, and if you have any questions about what we are all about. So so yes, welcome.
And on a related note, I think for the foreseeable future, we're going to try to be online, but hopefully we can go back in person once the case numbers stop being up in the stratosphere.
Bill's using my computer.
Yes, unfortunately, I had some technical problems with Zoom, or maybe it's my opposable thumb, so I'm trying to figure out which. But it was good to hear your statement today, especially since I think my subject has being able to go from a broader spectrum of why are we doing this thing, and helps fuel what I hoped would be a more pragmatic approach on my piece next week. The way that you covered it is, let's just say, I won't use the word plagiarism, but we'll use the word inspired by. There'll be a couple of passages in there that I really hope to echo within my own piece because he put it so beautifully. There is always that question that comes in. I've always liked being I always liked this before I was a Unitarian. I wanted to see the echo of a beautiful song or an idea or an extrapolation of an idea, a fusion of something from a continent or two away that makes everything work together like peanut butter and jelly, just that combo that works that much better. And being a Unitarian, using their particular passages has always been the best road I can see towards being able to do that. Now I'm going to be trying to combine the NFL and Unitarianism, which is probably its own worst punishment for what I'm going to try to do. But certainly a lot of the things that you said today about finding that sense of wonder and beauty that can come from anywhere in the world. You know, we got two long names, both of them saying we are influenced by the universe. And to be able to draw from that tradition in order to make a better world is very precious to me. Thank you.
Grace, you have another comment?
Yeah, I have another comment. I think when we think about the interconnectedness of all of us, I think humans have, you know, basic needs, and that's social, emotional. I'm not sure if I'm leaving anything out, but definitely included in that is the spiritual. If those needs aren't met, we're unbalanced. And I think that's why people turn to faith, is because we have a basic need for spiritual enlightenment or spiritual growth. And that's one of the reasons why we are here. I believe so. Without it, we feel like we're missing a piece, and this is a place to get it. So yes, that's why we're here, I believe.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think, so to make an analogy with my work, so I do research physics in particle physics, and I won't talk about the details because I know that that's terribly boring. But it feels often like a big jigsaw puzzle where each individual puzzle piece is itself like a Rubik's Cube, perhaps. And so, you know, you work so long figuring out just this one little puzzle piece, you lose track of what the entire thing looks like. And I think that is really true sort of for all of life's problems. Because we sort of get so focused on figuring out, how do I survive this week? How do I fix this problem? You know, that we lose track of the big picture of you know, what is it that we're really trying to do in the biggest picture, in the broadest strokes of our life. Yeah, yeah, I have lost my train of thought. That's all I have to say on that. Yes, you go.
Grace, when you were sharing and you talked about the balance, what flashed in my head, I just wanted to add on was because what flashed in my head was somebody that was, you know, let's say you're on a balance beam or a tightrope or whatever, and you're trying to maintain your balance. And kind of going along with what I said before is, in my head, what I flashed with is like when you fall off that, when, you know, when a gust of wind or the forces of whatever come and knock you off and you lose your balance and you're sort of falling. I mean, I feel like these last couple of years, you know, my footing. Actually, I guess I would say since 2016, I feel that my firm footing, has really been shaken, and that at times I feel like I'm in this emotional free fall or something. And my faith, I feel, is like a parachute. It's like that's what has saved me from crashing. That what my faith gives me, being surrounded by that, being pulled back, and like Alex said, looking at the bigger picture, those principles. So basically, I guess metaphorically, I would say that my church, my faith, is my parachute. That when I get knocked off balance and I'm in this free, spiritual, emotional, whatever free fall, that it's the church that holds me, that supports me, that gently lets me kind of go with the breeze. I can't control this environment or whatever, but it sustains me and keeps me safe. Thanks.
Sounded like somebody's clock was running 3 minutes fast. But do we have any? Probably yours, Tinka. That's okay. It was a nice chime though. That's the same chime that my doorbell had when I was a kid. So that I don't remember what the name of that melody is, but it's nostalgic for me. Do we have any final comments before we wrap up for the day?
Small compared to where it was, but one thing that I've noticed before I go watch some more NFL football and everything, is that one reason I like coming to church is that I want a big truck. I want the ability to have a batch of people who might be a little confused, might be hurting, might be wondering what to do next. And the very words universalist or Unitarian, it's like, well, hell, there's got to be a cure for this in, here somewhere. Jump along with me. We'll try and see what we can do to cover it. Mind you, this is not a country club thing. If I'm saving you, you might end up saving being in the back of the truck with somebody who annoys you. Too darn bad. We're all in this together, and we're all looking for a better way. And I think that I treasure that as much. I treasure that very deeply as well. To find a way that carries all of us. You sung Blue Boat Home earlier today. That sort of underlines the whole, we're in this as a large glob of people. Let's make it a happy glob of people.
As Grace said, yes, thank you all for joining us today. Normally at this time we would go out into the parish hall for coffee hour, but Grace, can you remind me, do we have any events after church events that were scheduled for today? That would just be myself.
Go ahead, Dinah.
I just want to say thank you, Grace and Alec, for putting together such a good service. And I will be, I believe by next Sunday, we'll be able to be worship associate.
I'm glad that you're feeling well.
Thank you. Not 100% yet, but we're surviving. Thank you again.
Thanks again all for being here, and yeah, I'll see you next week.
There's one more announcement. Adam said that the board meeting is canceled today. It's the fourth Sunday. So until further notice, I guess we're good. All right. Thank you so much, Alec. Thank you for speaking.
Thank you.
Hope to see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all. I'll be back.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Oh, are you at our church?
Yes, he's on the
Yes,
porch.
he's sitting out in the front on the front porch.
You had a bunch of visitors show up today. There was at least 6 other people.
Oh, my
Really?
gosh. Oh, goodness.
But we hung out and I started it list, on the phone. So
Yeah, I thought
Okay.
your background looked familiar.
yes, it's beautiful, beautiful church.
Yeah, it's a nice day too. Okay,
I
everyone
mean, the
have a great
building, the
week.
church is here.
Oh,
Right? The people, the people.
Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, you can.
Next week we'll have a challenge.